Hello, I have here another Lego mech. This time it's the Ninjago Season 13 Fire Stone Mech. Some of you are going to like this a lot. Some of you are not going to like it at all. In this video, I'm just going to try to help you pick a side. There's really no fluff in this set. You get the big mech, 5 figures, and then a holder for one of the Swords of Deliverance. The mech is very sturdy in its build and how it stands. Obviously, it's designed to have that Hero Factory split face kind of, asymmetry to it, though it is dominated by the red part, the Kai part. The helmet is built up fully, does have a print for the main large action figure part that's added on top for the curvature. And you can see the suggestion of a face or mask on it, which is a nice effect to actually build up from smaller pieces. The pauldrons, meanwhile, are built up with some larger pieces. These are new for 2020, and you can actually lift this stuff up to get access to a small compartment underneath here with a couple of extra blades that you can use for building your own. But yeah, these pieces are new, and you'll see a bunch of them throughout this series. It's just based on a 3x3, gives you some texture that they haven't had before. I'll show you what the articulation is like momentarily. First, I just wanted to get through showing you the overall bulk of this and how it's constructed. It does not have working knees. The knees are bent at a 90-degree angle, which is pretty extreme, and it is limited there. You can see some of the limiters also in the feet. They're built very, very similar to one another, and it just doesn't give you a whole lot of range of motion. There are rubber pieces in the soles, though, and that just gives you traction so that the feet don't slip around. Fortunately, the two sides are not simply palette swaps of one another. They're very, very similar in their builds, but some of the pieces on the outside to give it texture are done differently. That actually has a print on it right there, that rocky face piece, compared to the one used down here. Well, that doesn't have a print on it. Just gives you a different balance between the two grays that they try to go back and forth between. They do use some stickers in here to suggest some texture in more smooth areas. The hand on this side doesn't have the same type of fingers. These are 2 studs wide, and they're a little bit more awkward, a little bit more difficult, I'd say, to see as proper fingers. But yeah, the 2 fingers there and then just a thumb to the inside. Each of these hands will hold on to one of these large swords just fine. They do have a Technic piece inside to make sure that doesn't fall out or move around too easily. You get a couple of stud shooters on the back of this hand. That works for me. There's another one of those printed pieces. You can see the print is not ideal there, but I think it's perfectly fine for just suggesting rock. It doesn't need to be perfect in this case. Fortunately for Lego, I think they get away with that one. And then you have a large, smoother piece used for part of the pauldron here, and just a little bit more traditional build-up techniques. I think probably my favorite part of the build was the core. I just think that the core is built up nicely, and it's all proper building techniques. They don't really rely a lot on large pieces or stickers or prints there. The biggest piece is definitely the windscreen part there, which just gives you the transparency to see inside of the cockpit a bit. This one is a little bit more properly mirrored with its build rather than going into different textures with the physical parts. And the cockpit is accessed by moving the head back. And then you can see that it does hold 2 figures in there. One in the back stands, the one in the front sits, and there are a couple of small console pieces down there that are printed and identical side to side. All right, let's look at the articulation for this thing, starting with the arms. At the shoulders, well, you can rotate that way back. You actually have 360 degrees of motion along this axis. You can also bring those arms in and out a bit at the shoulders. It's not maximum possible range of motion that you might want to get, but there's a fair amount there. Then with the elbows, well, those have normal flex and extend as well as overextend if you want to make it look like it's broken. But then again, it is a mech, so you don't have to worry about bones and such. And then you can rotate this as well. Kind of takes the place of a wrist joint to allow you to get your weapons into better swinging positions. So that actually works out pretty well. I already kind of showed you the fingers there. These are very easy to just open up to get access to the weapon, so you can take that out entirely. And they've used this system for a while now with the little Technic pin or axle that'll stick through there, so you can put the weapon into the fist, close it up, and you're done. As for the legs now, again, no articulatable knees, but this extreme angle to them by default. So the whole thing is always kind of squatting. You do have the ability with these heavy-duty ratcheted joints to move this back quite a bit. Yeah, that's the limit right there. You can bring it forward. Well, that's about it. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. By moving it off to the side, I can get it to go farther. That's a really funny looking pose. But as viewed from the front, you can see the legs are able to splay in and out a bit. Not a whole lot, but a bit. You know, that's useful. There is no waist articulation with this, which is unfortunate because you can kind of, if it had waist articulation, you could kind of simulate a walking pose by simply rotating things around. You can rotate so the ankles don't have a lot of range of motion, but they are on ball joints, and you can twist this way. You can also rotate like so. You saw the limiters down there, but they do give you some options there. But see, if I could do this, let's see, something like that. Now, if I could rotate the body, if I can rotate the torso, then I could kind of make it look like it's trying to move off to the side. Maybe that's a little bit too much. But as it is, if you want to get this into a walking pose, you can't. It's just not set up to have any sort of real action pose with the legs. Let me see if I can get this to find something where it'll just... Yeah, I think that works just barely. That's the closest thing to a nope. Does not work. Dang it. But if I lean it over to the side, see, I'm leaning off on that side, so very little weight is actually on the tiptoe over here. Nah, that's not very secure. And bring some weight back here. That's about the best you can do, which doesn't look bad, but it's very precarious, that position. Realistically speaking, you're not going to put this into a lot of forward motion poses at all. And that is unfortunate. It's not because of the knees only. It's just because of how the weight is distributed and how they have this extreme bend here. It just ultimately all doesn't work out all that well for posability with the legs. There's not that much you can reasonably really do with them. This little stand for the Shadow Sword of Deliverance is nice. It's simple, but it works really well. Holds it in a, I don't know, just a proud way. Have a little magical fire off to the side with the bright green color. And it's got the lava base beneath it. And the sword itself is dual molded, of course. And it looks pretty good. That's not even a print there for the symbol on it. That is just part of the dual molding, which shows that LEGO can do some pretty nice detail with their dual molds. And that skull is done pretty well also. So I'm happy with all this, little as it is. Looking at figures, here's the latest version of Kai called Hero Kai. He's got the printed dragon shield there with the gold on gold and a built-up weapon. It's a kind of a short-bladed sword, I suppose. Got his new armor piece for 2020. It just has the big pauldron on one side, and he's got a clip on the back to hold on to the weapon or shield. With some stuff removed, here's a better look at the torso print on the front, which in my opinion just isn't that great. Like I really like the detail of the face there, but then the rest of it looks a little bit lacking to me. Kind of falls apart. On the back, I mean, that's perfectly fine. And there you can see his alternate face as well. Here's Hero Cole with his big built-up mace weapon. That works pretty well for him. The same shield is used again with the gold on gold printing. And the headgear pieces for this season are once again double molded, dual molded. Got the same armor pauldron piece here. With a bunch of that removed, here's the print on the back of the torso, as well as one of his faces fully revealed. That works for me. And this works for me as well. I like the print for this figure a lot better than I did the one for Kai. Here's Hero Nia with the darker silver and also gunmetal gray colors for her. She's got her slightly built up spear with the golden tip and a different shield for her that's based on the darker of the different colors of silver plastic that Lego makes, also with some brighter silver printing on it. And looks like some gunmetal gray or dark, gunmetal gray and dark gray both used in there for a little extra depth and detail. And once again, clip on the back. That face is very pleasant and happy. Got a little bit of metallic printing on the back of the torso there as well with the cloud detail. That looks pretty nice to me. And looking at it around the front, yeah, I think this is a little bit closer to Kai's level of detail for the torso print, but then the hip and leg pieces work well for me. The orcs here are Mert on the left and Mo on the right. They have all the same prints between them for the head, torso, hip, and leg pieces. They just have different accessories on them. And between them, you can see what all the prints are. Got the dual molded armor / pauldron piece for Mert there. A slightly built up weapon for him as well. And here's what these look like around the back. I am definitely glad that they included the extra little top knot band piece. That's the hollow stud in brown on top of the head to hold on to the hairpiece so it doesn't fall out easily like it did when just applied directly to the open stud, as they tried once and kind of failed with. Finally, these are the leftover parts, including some extra weapon pieces and a couple of studs for stud shooters. This 2x2 curved notched wedge piece here, I don't think is supposed to be included as an extra, but one was in my case. I definitely didn't miss one, didn't leave one out, but yeah, that might not happen for everybody. And then finally, here's the spent sticker sheet, just so you get an idea by itself of just the sticker load of this set. All right, let's talk value. This has, well, it's pushing 1,000 pieces. It's 968 pieces, and it costs $70 US, with the prices elsewhere being at roughly their normal ratios, I think. What surprises me here is the price to part ratio, which looks quite good. I'm not at all surprised by the price given the size of the thing. But when you consider how much detail is there, how many pieces are actually there, I think the value is here, at least on paper. Once again, Ninjago comes through with the good value. They tend to do that quite a bit these days, and I think it's because Lego is not able to overprice these. The general appeal of Ninjago is not there with the rest of just their themes. These days, at least, it's still strong enough for them to continue doing the theme, but I think that they have to be a little bit more reasonable and competitive with their prices, especially these days, and they do that. As for the set itself, well, the figures are good. This little side build, tiny little side build, that is definitely good. I just realized there's one thing that I neglected to show you in the main review part. Just like the pauldrons over here, or the pauldron over here can open up to give you access to a couple of extra bladed weapons, or at least blade parts. You can also do the same over here, and they've got just a couple of small Tanto blades on that side. So just the rest of that gold weapons pack. Articulation is really suffering here, in my personal opinion. The arms are fine. Good with the arms. Easy enough access to the cockpit. The ability to put two people in there is good. The use of the newer parts and the texture pieces in general, I think most of that is pretty good. The legs definitely suffer here. Making articulation for heavy mechs like this thing is heavy, even for its size, because of the bulk, because of how many pieces are used. It's solid. It is much heavier than I think you would expect for something of this height from Lego usually. And it's difficult to do stuff like this, to design stuff like this to Lego's design standards. Things that most people will never understand or even care to try to understand. Their standards for durability, ease of assembly for their target market, including the lowest end of age ranges in their target market for a given product, and how things have to be assembled, keeping things to their internal rules and their processes for laying out building instructions and everything and separating things into bags. All that needs to be considered by Lego designers, doesn't need to be considered by us. We just want stuff to be able to pose and, play and display. We don't need to care about those design things, honestly. And when you don't care about those things, which you really don't need to, this is frustrating. I'll just let it go. That is frustrating. I just want it to be able to look like it's taking a step forward. There we go. Okay, that's probably the best I've gotten ever. The back is very straight. It kind of wants to twist, but no, this will work. Okay, look at that. Yeah, there's something there. There's a little bit of movement. That's seriously the best that I've gotten out of this up to this point. So that's something. I'll give it that. I'll give it partial credit. But man, you have to get it just right. I think that's probably the only one pose that will work. As soon as because these are ratcheted joints, so as soon as I move it, put it back to where it was, right there. As soon as I move it one more, now that's completely ruined. You have to kind of work out the puzzle to find that one spot where everything is just offset the correct amount to allow you to do this. And that's frustrating. We shouldn't have to do that. We should be able to at least get a walker into a somewhat walking sort of pose. I think that should be kind of a minimum. That should be part of Lego's internal rules. Since they keep doing mechs, do they need to keep doing mechs as much as they do? I don't know. I personally don't mind it that much. At least I have not minded it that much until this year. It's starting to wear on me a little bit, only because I review all the stuff. Most people are not like me. Most people don't review all the stuff. Definitely don't buy all the stuff. So this isn't, Lego isn't making mechs for people like me. Another thing that has to be understood, just for the sake of context. It's important. It's important. For somebody who doesn't have a mech yet, likes Ninjago, this is acceptable. But it's not great. I think that some of the stuff that was done in the Monkey Kid theme is better. I think that some of the things that Ninjago has done before are better. The Fire Mech from the Ninjago movie, I think, was better. It was more mechy and also usable. Again, it had its limitations, but it was also a more, it just had more presence to it. I appreciate the level of detail here. I think the display ability, as long as you're not worried about putting it into an action sort of pose, is really high with this. I do wish that the upper torso was covered up. It's designed to have the faces just in open air there. I personally don't like that in general with mech designs. I want to see mechs, when you have an actual person in there or multiple people, I want them to be protected. I want to see them covered up. That just makes sense to me. I'm okay with the translucent section here because that can be transparent steel, transparent aluminum, whatever. You can kind of sci-fi that away and make it still be protection for them. But when the faces are there, that's just like Headshot City. Just shoot there and then, the threat is over. The bad guys have an easy out, an easy way to defeat the entire thing. So that's personal preference. Some people don't mind that. It's something that Ninjago has done before, leaving that open. And I just prefer that they not do that, or have an option to cover up the faces. Otherwise, everything else with how it looks, I think is pretty good. There's a couple quirks with these little bits that stick out at the back. Not a big deal. Love this print here on the top. Definitely respect that. Appreciate, I don't think I mentioned it, but they have a couple of clips on the back to hold on to some accessories. I don't think there are enough clips on this to hold on to all of the accessories. Like, it's one weapon per character and then also a shield. Was there another place you could put the shields? I think you can make it work, but it's probably best to put the shields back there. Very much appreciate when they include the rubber pieces in the feet so these don't slide all the way around. It's absolutely crucial, especially for something this large. Helps a ton, but again, I would have preferred to have the ability to move the legs just a little bit more without having just one single pose that I finally found that will work for a little bit of shuffling the feet. Anyway, enough about that. Value was good. Figure's good. Yep. It's a mixed bag, right? There's a lot of stuff that's good about it. I think there's some stuff that's annoying about it. So if you like this, I'm with you. I support you. If you don't like this, I'm with you. I support you, and I can understand. Hopefully, again, this video has helped you to come to a conclusion for yourself, whether you like it or not. If you want to see how it went together, Pure Build is up. It's in real time. Speed Build is up. You can check out either of those on their respective channels. Thank you for watching. Hope this was useful to you in some way, and I'll talk to you again soon.